Have you ever felt invisible to money? As if the universe were deaf to your requests? As if prosperity were a privilege reserved for others? Well, I tell you, with the harshness of someone who built a fortune with their own hands, if you don't see wealth clearly in your mind, you will never see it in your bank account. Wealth doesn't start in your pocket. It starts in the invisible. It starts with a mental image so vivid, so non-negotiable, that the whole world seems to conspire to make it inevitable. Most people fail not because of a lack of opportunity, but because of an excess of doubt. They doubt themselves. They doubt their worth. They even doubt the future they dream of while awake. Not me. I saw steel where others saw only coal. I saw libraries where others saw poor neighborhoods. What about you? What do you see right now? Because that vision, whether of scarcity or abundance, is driving every decision you make, every choice you make, every penny that comes in and out of your life. If you don't see yourself as the builder of an empire, you're just surviving in someone else's empire. In this video, I'm going to show you how to break that cycle, how to turn your imagination into a project of real power, into a force that moves people, creates structures, and multiplies capital. Now, if you already feel that this video is for you, that this voice is exactly what your soul needed to hear, I want you to connect with this channel. Subscribe. Because, from now on, what you're going to hear isn't entertainment. It's a call, a silent contract between you and your greatness. Have you been living with your mind stuck in yesterday, in mistakes, in failure? Well, know this. What you feed your mind materializes emotionally and financially. Imagination is the ground where empires are sown. That is where every tower of success begins to rise. When Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, he was channeling a truth that I engraved with fire and iron in my mind. Thought is the origin of fortune. Not loose desire, not it would be nice if it happened, but defined thought, shaped with conviction, like incandescent steel about to take shape. I see many walking through life with their heads down, believing that wealth is luck, inheritance, chance. I call this modern slavery, mental, emotional, and economic. That's not what took me from poverty in a village in Scotland and led me to dominate the most strategic industry on the planet. What got me out was vision. I saw an alternative reality, so strongly that it became inevitable. And you need to do the same. You need to see your projects as already complete, your numbers as already achieved, your accomplishments as already yours. Because the mind believes what it sees clearly, and it acts with courage proportional to the clarity of the mental image it carries. But be careful, it's not enough to visualize. You have to make it a discipline. Most people visualize once and give up. I visualized every day, until there was no more room for doubt. I fed my mind with images of progress, efficiency, leadership. It was almost like voluntary hypnosis, a reprogramming. And that's exactly what I want you to start building from today. You need to imagine money flowing to you with purpose. Money without purpose is destruction. But money with vision is liberation. The image of your wealth needs to be associated with something greater than luxury, comfort, or security. It needs to be linked to your mission, to your contribution to the world. What will you do with the fortune you imagine? Who will benefit from it? Because the universe only multiplies what has direction. Now listen to me carefully. When you begin to visualize wealth clearly, the world around you begins to resist. Yes, it will test you. Voices will arise saying that you are dreaming too big, that this mindset talk doesn't work, that the real world is tough. Well, I tell you this, the harshness of the real world is exactly the result of the mindset of those who create it. You are not here to repeat patterns. You are here to break them, to establish new codes, to show that a man or woman with an unshakable vision is more dangerous than any crisis, government, or competition. If you still doubt this, look at your own history. How many times has your mind sabotaged your decisions? How many opportunities have you missed because you were distracted by fear, insecurity, judgment. It all starts within. Your bank account is just a mirror of what you tolerate and what you believe. If you accept little, if you see yourself as someone who doesn't need much, the universe agrees. If you see yourself as a leader of prosperity, as someone who must get rich to multiply, the universe adjusts. This is not magic. It is mind engineering. It is applied neuroeconomics. It is philosophy lived out in practical decisions, consistent actions, and non-negotiable habits. Now listen, don't wait until you feel ready. You will never feel completely prepared to live the wealth you desire. The secret is to act as if it were already real. I behaved like a tycoon before I had a single dollar. I spoke with conviction. I walked with purpose. I read like a man who would influence generations. And you must do the same, because the world respects those who respect themselves. And money follows those who already act like its guardian. You can no longer afford to entertain small thoughts. They are toxic. They sap your energy, delay your decisions, sabotage your connections. Small thoughts generate small actions, which produce mediocre results. And mediocrity, my friend, is a form of slow suicide. It is the death of the entrepreneurial spirit, of your creative power, of your ability to make an impact. Starting today, you will imagine with precision. You will visualize with rational faith. You will transform your mind into a project of progressive wealth. And I'm not talking about fantasies. I'm talking about mental strategy, visualizing the day, the numbers, the meetings, the investments, everything. Because when the mind sees, the body acts. And when the body acts consistently, the universe responds with opportunities. I want you to promise me, here and now, that you will never again treat your imagination as a joke. It is your invisible building machine, and every thought shaped with intention is a brick laid in the structure of your future. You will imagine wealth not as a possibility, but as a certainty in the making, and you will repeat this every day until the world agrees. Because it will. The world always bows down to the mind that does not bow down to it. Do you want to know what separates men who build empires from those who spend their entire lives complaining about their luck? I'll tell you, in no uncertain terms. It's the ability to turn imagination into discipline. Because imagining wealth is the first step, but disciplining yourself to build it every day, even when no one is watching, is what separates the visionary from the dreamer. There is no fortune without routine. There is no freedom without strategic repetition. And I'm not talking about waking up at 5 a.m. just to feel productive. I'm talking about waking up with clarity, with a plan, with the conviction that every second is being invested in building something that will last for generations. Most people live on impulse. 1 day inspired, 3 days scattered. 1 month disciplined, 6 months lost. That's not life. That's emotional lottery. Do you want to truly prosper? Then make discipline your standard, not your exception. When I decided to master the steel industry, it wasn't because I had a brilliant idea on a Sunday afternoon. It was because every day, when I woke up, I imagined where I wanted to be. And then I acted with almost mathematical coldness to get there. While others celebrated small victories or lamented temporary defeats, I was engineering efficiency, optimizing processes, recruiting brains better than mine. And you should do the same. Wealth is not an accident. It is an exact reflection of your internal structure. Now, pay attention. You will never be greater than your habits. If your days are disorganized, your business will be disorganized. If your mind is unstable, your results will be unstable. And no matter how much you want to change, if you are not able to master yourself, you will not be able to change. Governing yourself is the first empire, the most difficult, the most important, the most neglected. You need to become the emperor of your own mind. You need to establish internal laws, rules that do not depend on motivation, but on conviction. I have never been guided by will. I have been guided by vision. And because of that, when there was no enthusiasm, there was purpose. When there was no support, there was direction. And that is enough to move mountains. Do you think you will achieve wealth if you continue to be a slave to your emotions? If every frustration makes you stop, if every criticism makes you rethink your mission, if every negative number makes you give up, listen carefully. Emotions are excellent advisors, but terrible leaders. You need to feel, yes, but decide strategically. You need to observe, yes, but react rationally. Because the business world does not forgive the unstable, it rewards the consistent. And consistency is a mental muscle that you need to train every day. And here is the truth that many avoid. You are already paying a price. You are paying the price of being who you are. Today, the question is, do you want to continue paying the price of stagnation, or would you rather pay the price of growth? Because both come at a cost. But only one of them gives you back your freedom. I chose growth. I chose to wake up early. I chose to study while others rested. I chose to think of solutions while others pointed fingers. And you need to make that choice now. Because time waits for no one. Life doesn't stop, and the market has no mercy. And pay attention, here comes the key point. You will not achieve wealth alone. No empire is built by a single hand. You need to form an alliance of minds. People who think bigger than you, people who challenge you, people who lift you up. And, for that, you need to stop hanging out with people who reinforce your limitations. Those who comfort you when they should confront you, those who coddle you when they should push you. Break the cycle of mediocrity. Surround yourself with excellence. Become intolerant of inertia. Because your results are the average of the people you listen to most. And that's not a metaphor. It's behavioral mathematics. Do you want to see your bank account change? Start with the conversations you feed, with the content you consume, with the voices you allow inside your head. Wealth begins when you create an environment for growth. When your routine becomes a temple. When your habits become sacred codes. When every minute has direction. And when your allies are hungry, not excuses. Now, I ask you directly, who is sitting at the table of your construction? Who are your partners in arms? Who is willing to take risks with you, to tell you the truth, even if it hurts, to remind you that you were born to lead, not to conform? Because money respects those who are clear, and it runs away from those who live in internal conflict. If you want to see wealth in your bank account, start acting like someone who deserves to manage it. That means ethics. It means unpopular decisions. It means sacrificing immediate pleasures for future achievements. It means learning, adjusting, growing. It means serving before being served. And, above all, it means living with a purpose so clear that even the most brutal failure cannot deter you. And now, it's time for you to write the next chapter of your story. Not with words, but with decisions. And I want you to say, here in the comments, with all the strength of your conviction, I choose to see my wealth. It's not just a phrase. It's a pact. A declaration to the universe. A command to your mind. A warning to your comfort zone. It no longer rules you. Now that you have chosen to see your wealth, it's time to build your empire. And empires are not built with motivation, but with structure. From this moment on, every second of your day should be treated as an asset. Time is the only resource that once lost can never be recovered. And I say this with the coldness of someone who used to buy time from others through productivity. When I hired someone, I wasn't just buying labor, I was buying hours, and I made each one count as if it were worth gold. You need to do the same with your time. You need to be the investor in your schedule. Every activity you perform should be asked, does this bring me closer to or further away from my vision of wealth? Look, productivity isn't about doing a lot. It's about doing what matters. It's about eliminating the unnecessary with the same aggressiveness with which you execute the essential. I transformed entire factories by eliminating useless tasks, demanding clarity, automating, delegating, and you need to do that with your own life. Analyze your days like an engineer analyzes an assembly line. Where are the flaws? Where is their useless repetition? Where is their wasted energy? But be careful. There's no point in eliminating waste if you don't have a clear vision of what you want to build. And here's a harsh truth. Most people aren't poor because they lack money. They're poor because they lack purpose. They say they want more, but they can't say how much. They say they want to change their lives, but they don't know exactly where to go. That's not desire. That's confusion. And confusion is the death of action. The universe does not respond to vague requests. It responds to definite decisions. Write this down. Wealth loves specificity. Do you want to achieve wealth? Then write it down precisely. How much do you want to earn this year? What kind of business do you want to build? What impact do you want to make? In how long? With what resources? Who are the people essential to this journey? These answers are not optional. They are your map. Without them, you are lost, and there is no favorable wind for those who do not know where they are going. I had clear goals for each phase of my empire, and more than that, I had an environment aligned with them, because your environment amplifies your mind. If you live in a chaotic space, your decisions will be chaotic. If you are surrounded by negative stimuli, your energy will be drained. That's why I built spaces for focus, quiet offices, non-negotiable routines, a high-performance culture. And you need to do the same. Start with the basics. Clean your space. Organize your day. Eliminate distractions. Create an environment that breathes progress, that reminds you, every second, of who you are becoming. And here's a crucial point. All construction requires sacrifice. Wealth does not grow in comfortable soil. It requires cutting. It requires silence. It requires lonely decisions. It requires sleepless nights. It requires you to trade momentary approval for future fulfillment. I sacrificed parties, luxuries, and praise to build libraries. I chose to serve in the long term rather than satisfy myself in the short term. And, ironically, it was that sacrifice that gave me everything. The world respects those who have the courage to give up. And you need to develop that courage now. Be radical with what you allow into your mind, with the words you choose to hear, with the videos you consume, with the people you allow close to you. Your mind is fertile ground. Every piece of information is a seed. What do you want to plant? Doubts or strategies? Fears or vision? Tiredness or energy? Because the harvest is coming, and it's coming strong. You need to become a builder of millionaire habits. And I'm not talking about cliches. I'm talking about attitudes that shape empires. Wake up at the same time every day, eat intelligently, read what elevates your mind, repeat affirmations that connect your brain to action. Visualize your results in detail. Review your goals every week. Eliminate everything that drains your strength. Create mental activation rituals. These are not details. They are building blocks. Don't now listen to me. Everything you build on the outside and don't sustain on the inside will crumble. That's why your empire starts in your mind, but it grows with attitude. Every decision you make is a vote for the kind of future you will have. Do you vote for wealth or stagnation? Every choice is a brick. Every sacrifice is cement. Every habit is a structure, and every repetition is a wall. Stop romanticizing the idea that one day everything will work out. Nothing will work out by chance. It will work out because you made it work. Because you beat yourself every day. Because you resisted comfort. Because you acted when you were tired. Because you had clarity when everything seemed dark. Because you didn't give up on the vision you planted with so much effort. Money loves direction. It loves consistency. It loves those who know what to do with it. It is a powerful servant, but a cruel master. If you don't control it, it will destroy you. If you don't direct it, it will scatter. And if you don't respect it, it will run away. Are you ready to be the master of your capital, or do you still live as a slave to circumstances? Your empire is being built right now, with or without your awareness. What you see in your mind is what you will one day see in your results. So visualize with discipline. Act with structure. Surround yourself with excellence. Sacrifice what is necessary. And repeat, repeat, repeat until there is no other option but to win. You can have the best vision in the world, the most solid habits, and the most relentless discipline. But if you are surrounded by the wrong people, your empire will crumble. True wealth is built on alliances. No empire can stand without men and women willing to fight, think, and execute with excellence. And here's a truth that few admit. You are the worst bottleneck to your own greatness when you try to do everything yourself. I became the most powerful man in steel, not because I knew everything, but because I knew how to bring together those who knew more than me. You need to learn the art of choosing allies. Not comfort zone companions, not longtime friends who keep you stuck in who you once were, but soldiers of vision. People who see the invisible with you. People who deliver results, not excuses. People who make you evolve by example, not stagnate. Through affection, listen to what I'm going to tell you now. If you still surround yourself with people you need to motivate every day, you don't have a team, you have an emotional prison. When I found someone with raw talent and a hunger for achievement, I promoted them, even if they didn't have all the formal requirements. I looked for people with grit, with a sense of ownership, with a sparkle in their eyes. And I eliminated early on those who talked a lot and delivered little. Because one bad name on a team is like silent rust on a steel bridge. It seems small at first, but before you know it, the structure is compromised. And you can't take that risk if you're building an empire. Now, understand this. Delegating is not abandoning. Delegating is trusting with strategic oversight. It's knowing what needs to be done, even if you're not doing it yourself. More than that, it's developing leaders, not executors. Not puppets, but thinking minds. People who take charge, solve problems, and scale up. And that starts with you. If you're still the kind of leader who centralizes everything for fear of being surpassed, you're still in the infancy of leadership. Because true leaders don't fear being replaced. They want to be multiplied. I've seen brilliant men lose their way for fear of sharing power. Because they thought that teaching their knowledge would make them dispensable. That is fragile ego. An empire is only strong when knowledge is spread, when vision is shared, when decisions are made with supervised autonomy. My greatest victory was not mastering steel. It was training men who continued to grow even after I retired. That is legacy. That is wealth that goes beyond numbers. You need to build a culture of excellence. And culture is not what you write on the wall, it is what you tolerate in practice. If you allow delays, excuses, mediocrity, then that is your culture. If you reward performance, encourage merit, and celebrate real progress, then that is your culture. It doesn't matter what you say. What matters is what you reinforce, what you allow, what you correct, what you promote. And here's a principle I've never abandoned: promote based on merit, not friendship. Those who deliver results deserve to grow. Those who carry real weight should move up. This creates a fair, competitive, inspiring environment, and it eliminates the emotional parasites that consume the team's energy without delivering anything. And you need energy. You need movement. You need fire in your eyes. Because building wealth is not a walk in the park, it's a strategic war. And in a war, you need generals, not victims. Not complacent people, not SYCOPHANTS. I held short, surgical meetings. No one left the room without a plan, a deadline, and a clear responsibility. And I want you to adopt that same firmness. Because long, unproductive meetings are a testament to inefficiency, to insecurity, to a lack of clarity. If you're leading a team, your mission is total clarity, clear objectives, progress indicators, constant feedback, and accountability that inspires, not paralyzes. Now look at your current structure. Who is really building with you? Who is just hiding behind your efforts? Who is ready for the next level and who is past their expiration date, take a cold, hard look, because every employee who doesn't deliver takes up space that someone who would deliver could fill, and your empire can't afford that cost. You need a lean, sharp, loyal, and tireless machine. Because, in the game of building real wealth, fat kills, slowness kills, disorganization kills, and remember this: leading isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about being the first to act, the first to sacrifice, the first to study harder, to arrive earlier, to take responsibility for everything. The team imitates the leader, always. And if you still live by excuses, your team will do the same. But if you lead with focus, ethics, discipline, and vision, it spreads like wildfire. You are building an empire of people. And well-led people are more valuable than any technology, any capital, any land. They are the ones who will execute your vision when you are tired. They are the ones who will perpetuate your legacy when you are no longer around. They are the ones who will give you peace or cause you pain. Choose well, train well, delegate with courage, and lead with greatness. A true empire is not one that grows fast. It is one that grows right. It is one that sustains its own structure as it rises. The difference between a fleeting fortune and an economic dynasty lies in conscious reinvestment. What do you do with what you have achieved? Do you multiply it or consume it? Do you expand or show off? Do you build or just collect? Listen to me clearly. Every fortune that is not reinvested becomes a prison disguised as success. Because money that does not serve a greater purpose soon begins to serve the ego. And the ego, my friend, has an infinite appetite. It will lead you to buy what you don't need to impress those who don't matter, while sacrificing the future you should be protecting. I reinvested obsessively. Every penny I had left over went toward expansion. But not just any expansion. It was strategic, calculated expansion, aligned with my vision. I didn't grow out of vanity, I grew out of precision, and that's one of the most expensive lessons I've learned. Growing too much, too fast, can be just as dangerous as not growing at all. Haste destroys structure. Impulse erases intelligence. Healthy growth is methodical. It is patient. It is progressive. But it is never slow, it is deliberate. And that changes everything. You need to create a personal reinvestment policy. Treat your capital as you would treat a nation. Set non-negotiable percentages. Create funds for expansion. Funds for innovation. Funds for reserves. Funds for social impact. And above all, funds to invest in yourself. Because the most powerful empire is one built by someone who becomes, every day, a greater leader than they were yesterday. Now, understand this. All growth that is not sustainable is self-sabotage in disguise. True success is not what elevates you for a year. It is what sustains you for generations. I have seen fortunes disappear because they were built on sand. Because their owners confused increased revenue with increased competence. And there is a huge difference between earning more and knowing how to manage more. That difference is called financial maturity. And maturity is built with reinvestment. Want to grow? Then reinvest on a large scale. Not just in money, but in vision, in culture, in structure, in leadership, in positioning. Because empires that don't position themselves disappear. And the right reinvestment positions you where the market respects you, where competitors retreat, where allies follow you, where society recognizes you as a pillar, not for how much you have, but for what you represent. And here's a secret that few know. Reinvesting is not just reallocating capital. It's transferring energy. It's reaffirming your mission. It's declaring to the universe, to your team, and to yourself, I'm not done yet. I'm still expanding. I'm still building something that will last long after I'm gone. Reinvestment is the altar where you consecrate continuity, where money ceases to be an end and becomes a lever. And there is an unwritten rule in the world of great builders. The more you reinvest consciously, the more doors open. The right people appear. Opportunities arise. partnerships are formed. The universe respects those who treat wealth as a mission, not as a trophy. And that is the difference between the common rich and the legacy builder. The former wants to be applauded. The latter wants to be remembered. Do you want to be remembered? Then stop thinking about how much you will earn this month, and start thinking about how you will multiply the fruits of your efforts so that other lives can be transformed with them. Because true empire does not end with you. It passes through you. It uses you as a channel, as a tool, as an instrument. That's why I invested in thousands of libraries, because I understood that knowledge is the only wealth that, the more it is distributed, the more it multiplies. That's why I refused to leave my entire fortune to heirs who had built nothing, because wealth received without awareness is a curse. It destroys more than it builds. Teach your children to build. Teach your leaders to invest. Teach your market to respect abundance with purpose. This is more powerful than any inherited fortune. And now listen carefully. If you are not willing to reinvest, do not complain if your wealth evaporates. Because money that sits still attracts decay, but money in motion attracts abundance. And money with a mission attracts respect. Capital is alive. It senses the intention of those who manage it. If you want it to grow, you need to treat it with reverence, with intelligence, with firmness, with a spirit of legacy. You are here for this. Not to accumulate money, but to build systems. Not to be admired for your wealth, but followed for your contribution. Not to die rich, but to live a meaningful life. The money you reinvest wisely today is what makes you unforgettable tomorrow. And I want you to be unforgettable. Not for the luxury you flaunted, but for the empire you built, for the transformation you brought about, for the dignity you spread. Wealth is not just about how much you have. It's about how many lives you lift up, how many minds you awaken, how many structures you have built where there was once only ashes. That is true reinvestment. What changes not only your story, but the story of everyone around you. You have made it this far, and that already sets you apart from 99% of those who say they want to change but cannot sustain their journey. Because the truth is brutal. Most give up before they even start. They want wealth, but they don't want structure. They want abundance, but they reject discipline. They want freedom, but they live as prisoners of their own habits. But you are different now. You have been exposed to truths you can no longer ignore. You have been challenged to imagine, act, reinvest, lead, build. And now, I need you to take on the ultimate responsibility to make all of this a reality. There will be no external salvation. There will be no miraculous rescue. There will be no shortcut. The only bridge between your current life and the extraordinary life you desire is built with your hands, with your thoughts, with your decisions, and with your courage. You understand that money does not come from outside. It comes from within. That discipline shapes direction. That your allies define your strength. That reinvestment multiplies your influence. But now, I need you to understand something even greater. Your entire life must align with a cause that transcends you. Because wealth without a mission is waste. And mission without action is illusion. You are not here to accumulate. You are here to overflow. You are here to transform the world through your presence, your vision, your leadership. You are here to leave marks that time cannot erase. And that kind of impact is only possible when you live with uncompromising purpose. You are the architect of your future. You are the engineer of your legacy. You are the commander of your destiny. And as long as you keep waiting for perfect conditions, they will never come. The time is now. The time is this. The territory is what you have today. Because great empires always started with small decisions made with courage. You need to internalize this. No vision survives without action. You can imagine clearly, affirm with conviction, visualize with emotion, but if you don't act, you are betraying your own greatness, and I won't accept that from you. You have too much power to live small. You have too much potential to remain silent. You have too great a mission to live distracted. You need to take a stand. Declare with your results that you are here to win, to thrive, to influence, to serve, and above all, to lead. Because the world needs conscious leaders, entrepreneurs with soul, investors with purpose, human beings who understand that prosperity is a tool, not an end. Look around you. The world is collapsing in vision. People are lost, directionless, without internal structure. And you have been chosen to be a beacon. Not because you are better, but because you have decided to be conscious. Because you have decided to break the cycle. Because you have decided to build the invisible until it becomes inevitable. You will be remembered not only for what you did, but for who you became. And that is your ultimate responsibility, to become. To become the one others admire in silence. The one who inspires by example, who carries dignity in their gaze, who honors every penny they earn, who expands with generosity, who builds empires, but never forgets that the true foundation is integrity. And now, my final call, don't keep this to yourself. An empire that remains silent is an empire that dies. Share this vision with those who are ready, with those who need to wake up, with those who have not yet understood that it is possible. Show them the way. Light other fires. Spread the silent revolution of abundance with purpose. And if the voice that has guided you here has touched something deep within you, then connect with this movement. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video. Not out of vanity, but out of mission. Because what you have learned here cannot die in your mind. It needs to flourish in many others. You are Carnegie now, a builder, a leader, a man or woman who has decided that your life will no longer be a repetition of inherited limitations, but a living affirmation that wealth begins in the mind and expands until it touches the world. Now go and build your empire.